I got home earlier than expected and overheard my brother talking to my wife. "We need to forge the papers fast and cut him out completely," he said. I slipped out quietly and came back 2 hours later, reeling from the shock. I never thought I'd share something like this online. Betrayals this dramatic, schemes by those closest to you. These are the stuff of movies, aren't they? I used to think so too. That is, until a month ago when my world turned upside down. It all started with my brother, Ethan. Ethan was always the family's wild card, reckless with cash, hopping from job to job, always chasing quick fixes. A year back, he hit rock bottom, buried in debt, evicted, credit cards maxed out. He called me, sounding desperate, saying he had nowhere to turn. Against my better judgment, I opened my home to him. At first, it didn't bother me. Family helps family, right? I let him stay rent-free, covered his bills, even gave him money when he asked. When his car broke down, I footed the repair costs. I thought it was a temporary arrangement that he'd get back on his feet soon. What I didn't realize was that he had no intention of leaving. I was married to Emma, my partner of 5 years, wed for 3. I thought our relationship was solid. We had our disagreements, money, stress, small things, but I never questioned her devotion. She was beautiful, with dark hair, always polished, always poised. I felt lucky to have her. I thought we were happy. Then one evening, everything fell apart. I came home early, planning to surprise Emma with takeout. The house was quiet, but I heard voices from the dining room, Ethan and Emma. Something about their tone felt wrong. I slowed my pace, about to call out, when Ethan's words stopped me cold. "We need to fake the documents now and get him out of the way." My heart sank. Fake what? Get who out? Were they talking about me? Then Emma spoke. "Once it's done, he won't be our problem anymore." My pulse raced as I crept closer and peeked around the corner. What I saw turned my stomach. Emma was in Ethan's arms, her hands around his shoulders. He held her tightly, hands on her hips. Then they kissed. Long, familiar, like it wasn't their first time. My chest tightened. My wife, my brother, the 2 people I trusted most. I wanted to barge in, throw Ethan out, yell at Emma until my throat gave out. But I didn't. Instead, I backed away silently, left the house, and drove off. I didn't know their full plan, but one thing was clear. They thought they had me cornered. They didn't know what I was capable of. I drove for hours, hands clenched on the steering wheel. My brother, my wife, scheming together. I couldn't let my anger take over. I needed a strategy. First, I protected my money. I checked our shared bank account. Emma had access, and I'd stupidly given Ethan limited control over my savings. The funds were still there, but for how long? I moved everything to a new account, leaving just enough to avoid raising flags. Then I thought of Ethan's car, a beat-up Camaro he loved but couldn't afford to fix. I'd paid for the repairs, but not anymore. I drove to the garage. The mechanic, Tom, greeted me. "It's almost ready," he said. "Finish it tonight," I told him, slipping him extra cash. An hour later, the car was done. I took the keys, sat in the driver's seat, and let my fury build. Then I drove home, blared the horn, and watched as Emma and Ethan stepped outside, puzzled. I grabbed a crowbar from the trunk and smashed the Camaro in front of them, neighbors gawking. Metal crumpled, windows shattered. Emma gasped. Ethan lunged toward me. "Get your stuff and go," I demanded. They argued, but I packed their things into bags and tossed them out. 10 minutes, or I'm calling the cops." They left. I thought that was the end. I was mistaken. 3 days later, they showed up again, smirking, waving forged papers claiming my house was theirs. They'd faked my signature. I recorded their boasts, then called my lawyer and a police friend. The proof was clear. Fraud, forgery, theft. Within days, the police arrested them. The trial was quick. Ethan, the mastermind, got years behind bars. Emma, despite her sob story, faced consequences too. I took back my house and money, but the betrayal lingered. Then came the letters and calls. Emma, full of regret. Ethan, begging for help. I ignored them. They'd made their choices. Now they'd pay for them. Just when I thought the ordeal was over, I was proven wrong again. A week after tossing Emma's letter and ignoring Ethan's call, a new envelope arrived, stamped from the prison. My hands shook as I opened it, expecting more excuses or lies. Instead, I found a threat that chilled me to the bone. Emma's handwriting. "You think you're safe? You don't know what's coming. This isn't over." At the bottom, she'd scrawled, "Check your mailbox tomorrow. You'll understand." I crumpled the letter, my mind spinning. What could she do from prison? Was this just a bluff, or was something bigger at play? The next day, I hesitated before checking my mailbox. Inside was a plain envelope, no sender, just my address in the same rough handwriting. I ripped it open. A photo fell out, a recent shot of my house, taken from the road. On the back, a note, Windows C, locks here, sleep tight. My stomach churned. Someone had been watching my home. But who? Ethan and Emma were locked up. Did they have an accomplice? I called my friend Mike, a cop, right away. Bring everything to the station, he said after I explained. At the precinct, Mike studied the letter and photo. His face grew serious. This isn't just a threat. It's a message. Someone wants you terrified. He pulled up Emma's prison file. She's in isolation for causing trouble. No visitors, no calls except to her lawyer. Then he stopped. But look here. He showed me the screen. Ethan had been moved to a high-security prison. He tried to pay off a guard, Mike said. Claimed he had people who could handle things. My heart raced. What people? Mike leaned forward. That's what we're going to find out. That night, I checked every lock in the house. As I passed the front window, I caught a glimpse of movement outside. A dark figure stood across the street, barely lit by the street lamp. I froze. They were just standing there. I grabbed my phone to call Mike, eyes fixed on the figure. But as the call went through, the shadow vanished into the night. Mike arrived minutes later, his patrol car sweeping the area. No trace of the figure. You're not staying here tonight, he said firmly. I packed a bag and left. But one thought haunted me. This wasn't finished. The next morning, Mike called with news. We tracked a call from Ethan's prison line. He reached out to an old buddy, a guy named Derek. Sound familiar? My breath caught. Derek. Ethan's old cellmate from years back, a con man with a rap sheet for fraud and harassment. Iran, he's out now, Mike continued. And he was seen near your street 2 days ago. It all made sense. Ethan and Emma had hired Derek to torment me, to keep me on edge, but they'd underestimated me. With Mike's help, we set a trap. I pretended to leave town while police watched my house. Sure enough, Derek showed up, sneaking toward my porch with a tire iron. He was arrested on the spot. Under questioning, he broke quickly. Ethan offered me money to scare you, he confessed. Said you had it coming. The police added conspiracy charges to Ethan and Emma's sentences. Derek, facing his own charges, turned on them fully. Months later, the courts issued permanent restraining orders. Ethan's sentence was lengthened. Emma's appeal failed. Derek, for his cooperation, got a reduced sentence but would still be away for years. I sold the house. Too many ghosts, too much pain. I moved somewhere new, somewhere they'd never track me down. Sometimes I still check the shadows at night. Old fears linger. But for the first time in ages, I rest easy, because this time I made sure they lost for good. If this story gripped you and stirred your emotions, please give it a like, share it with others, and follow for more real-life tales and experiences. Your support means everything and helps us share more stories like this. Thank you for reading, and I'll see you in the next one.